Hello, 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 YouTube. So this one I decided to do live simply because I don't have a lot of time. And excuse me, I was originally scheduled to do this at 11 today. So as most of you know, if you follow this channel, you know that I have reviewed this particular topic a couple of times. I've done so on my podcast, but I've also done so on Facebook Live and things like that. I've had a pretty comprehensive discussion around the Derrick Jackson part of it and the mistress part of it. And what I've not really done is delved completely into, even though I've mentioned, the levels of distress and, pain and things like that that are common for females who are um, a party to trying to sort through the life that they now have to deal with after infidelity and other betrayals in their marriages. I touched on there having to be more to the story from the side of Derrick Jackson's wife. And I've touched on some of the confirmations that we've seen from some of the footage that he has released. And also even up to, I think, the footage where he's discussing these things in the very first video with his wife. So there are a couple of things, and I've had a chance to go back and review the latest video that he's released with his wife. And I don't know. I believe that the viewer who sent this to me requested that I review Tonya TKO's responses to the video as well. And so I'll do a little bit of that. So I did make myself quite a few notes because, as you guys know, for those who follow Tonya, she can kind of be really animated. And, but I will say this, she gives some honest reviews, whether they're appropriate for a time and place and space or not. So during this last interview, there is a large amount of content discussed around some of the perceptions of Derrick Jackson's wife, but also some of his perceptions are revealed in this interview as well. And then we also kind of see Tonya as she's looking at the video with the audience and reviewing the content from time to time. The most interesting thing that stood out for me is at the very beginning, where you're seeing Derrick Jackson's wife talk about her journey and her understanding of what needed to happen in her marriage and in their marriage and in their union. And as they talk about boundaries and things like that, one of the things that really stands out for me is that there is not a realistic outlook on courtship. And so she says to him and to the audience that, well, we've been off and on and breaking up for 12 years. And he mentions that they've been off and on for 12 years as well. Of course, this is prior to their being married. And she talks about the fact that she had given him kind of like her end all be all and said, okay, the next time you cheat on me will be your last time. And this is before they got married. So this is what I want to talk about first. When you get into a relationship, in order to build a healthy relationship during the relationship vetting stages, you have to understand that you go in with non-negotiables then. And you do that for a couple of reasons. The first reason, and the most prominent reason, is you teach people how to treat you. So you teach people how to be with you, how to love you, how to not love you, the things that they can do to you, the limits that they can go with you. You teach these things to people based off of that very beginning non-negotiable list that you have. And I tell people, you don't have to go around here and have a whole list of 500 things that you're covering before you allow the vetting stages to begin. Cover your really hardcore, no getting around lying around it and just placating boundaries first. If you know you're a person who is against recreational drug use, because that seems to be a big one, say, I want to know whether or not you use recreational drugs. And here's the thing, when they do give you a confirmation that they do, don't say, well, you know what, are you willing to stop in the future? Are you gonna go back to it if you stop today? Don't do that. It's a non-negotiable for a reason. It means it's not up for negotiation, conversation, any maneuverability whatsoever. Stick to your guns and get out of there, because that means that you're now trying to hold space that wasn't meant for you in the first place. And what you do is create a platform of toxicity and expecting people to change in that space, period. When you talk about religion, you can ask the question, are you religious? And if so, to what extent? What does your religion look like? What are you committed to? What are some of the things that you're passionate about? Whatever you're looking for, ask those questions directly. And when you receive the confirmation that these things exist in that person's life, and you know it's non-negotiable for you, you not only have to be willing to walk away, but committed to walking away. You don't deserve a seat at their table, and they don't deserve a seat at yours. You're wasting your time and you're wasting theirs. So that was the first thing. The second thing is she mentioned him cheating. Infidelity cannot take place outside of a marriage. I said it. It is what it is. Until there is a betrothal in place, that means that there is a verbal, spiritual, and then that shifts your mentality, right? So then there is a mental commitment and emotional. Unless there is that commitment there, nobody has, a natural inclination to be with you and only you. Now, the way you avoid that is to make that one of your non-negotiables. That's just what it is. So she says to him, the next time you cheat on me is gonna be your last. We're not gonna be together anymore. And she marries this man. She marries this man that she's been dating on and off or whatever, courting on and off for the duration of 8 years at that point, maybe 8, 9 years. And she marries him knowing that he possesses these qualities in which she's deemed to be unsavory, unfit, unworthy of her grace. That's the first thing that I wanted to throw out there. You ladies and men, and I've done a separate video for men about, people adding value. You've got to learn how to position yourself to receive people that add value in that type of capacity. If you do not do your own work and position yourself to be able to receive that, you simply will not get it. Not in the capacity that you feel like you deserve, because you do. So it's just so much. I'm trying to cover it, you guys, because I got another engagement in a bit. So she says that a couple of things. I'm not going to talk about that until the end. Okay, I'm going to touch on it. So here's the thing. She says it was unacceptable for him to remain friends with women that he had sexual relationships with. This is before they got married. So she knew him to be a man who had, functional relationships still with women that he had slept with prior to them being married. When you are accepting a person in the way that they present themselves prior to you deciding to get married to them, you're saying that that's okay. You do not have the right to maneuver yourself in a different way and manipulate that person into believing that they need to change for you. So there's that. She mentioned that one of the main things for her that gave her confirmation that, okay, it's time for me to step back into play. She made it clear that she didn't want to be with him unless he had his own relationship with God. I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to let you guys soak that in, considering the fact that that's the platform in which he's speaking on right now. His own relationship with God. Okay. And he spoke differently to her. He moved differently. So she wanted to create what looked like second order change by way of forcing surface behaviors to change and then accepting them because they looked like they hadn't been maintained for a while. You're setting yourself up for failure, lady. And that's all I got to say for that. And so he says that he did not change as a contingency of her coming back into his life. And he says that during this time that he has had these off and on affairs, she had made her mind up that they were no longer together. However, they keep going back to the idea that this is a spiritually grounded and sound relationship. Any religiously grounded relationship says that you are not done until you are actually done. That means dead. And so that's the only way your marriage can be dissolved, first of all. And let's just say you go through and you get a divorce. Your divorce would be a higher level of recognition than you deciding that, oh, okay, well, you know what? This is pretty much done because this person left the house. It doesn't give you the right to go and have sex with another person if you're claiming that you're a religiously sound relationship. And so you just can't get into that and then use that to reel another group of people in and then expect for people to give you their trust again. You're still not credible. You're still doing the same things. You know, you're manipulating the situation and you're manipulating people. And so essentially he became the guy that she said it is that she wanted. That's the worst thing that you can do when you're trying to get in a relationship. Don't put out there what it is that you want. Put what you don't want. And then they don't know if that's what you want or not. Then they'll give you the truth and you can continue to move on if they are that thing. And then you can also stay in that space if they say that they're not. You see what I'm saying? Don't set yourself up to be manipulated and lied to. So for her, comfort looks like him allowing her access to his social media, his surface changes with his relationship with God, and him allowing her access to everything. So no passwords. The thing is, when you say that you need to have access to another person's personal information in order for you to feel secure in the relationship that you are establishing or maintaining with them, it says that you are not indeed secure. It says that you pretty much are waiting for the same thing to happen again, and you just kind of want to be on top of it when it does. And so she says she didn't desire to be in the spotlight, and that's why she never spoke on anything, and she allowed him to speak on his public platform without interruption from her. However, one thing that Derrick mentions during the course of this interview, and I have to say this, he mentions that he lost his wife and he lost his family, his children, over the course of him not being spiritually in sync and grounded religiously in his marriage. Let me tell you something, Derrick. You never wanted those things. You never valued those things, and you still don't. You're now out here airing an apology, and she is, you guys give her a name, to help you reestablish solidification in your following so that you can continue to make money that will support the lifestyle that she has now become accustomed to, and you equally have become accustomed to, because at the end of the day, that is the benefit of all of this. So you can say all of those things that say, I'm not worried about this and I'm not worried about that. They're only indicative of the things that you truly are concerned about, which are people's comments, the way people feel about you. That's why you guys are putting so much out here. And the other piece is this. You say that you became committed to her 3 days after she left, but you had another woman in her bed there in that same space. So let's be very honest about this thing and call a thing a thing. For Tonya, for you saying that, trying to vilify this woman for using foul language or whatever, I got to go with the audience that was viewing and the way that they feel about that. I don't think that you should kick her while she's down per se. I feel like an adequate assessment of what we're observing is definitely due. But whether she has on a bonnet or a hat or whatever, I feel like wigs are hair hats and we wear them. So you got to let her do what she wants to do. You see what I'm saying? And you're not here to judge her on that. That was something that I also put. Who are we? So the thing they said, who are we to judge the character of the individuals on the screen? So the public put Derrick Jackson on this platform, okay, where he's on a pedestal. I am not a part of that public because I'm not a follower of Derrick Jackson. I'm just going to be honest, okay? I've never bought the crap that he speaks on. When people send it to me, I don't review it because I don't support that kind of stuff. And I'm not sending viewers to your platform to listen to that crap if I don't believe it's worth anything. So for the vast majority, I see that there is a pick me mentality, and I see that you're preying on women. I saw that then. I'm like, this guy has an entire woman somewhere, and he's portraying to be single. Here it is, he got married. Nobody saw a wedding ring because he was trying to use his physical looks to continue to appease the audience. And that's normal. But it's not right for a guy who says that he's religiously, spiritually grounded in a relationship. I just got to say what that is. You know, there is no abstract right or wrong, but it's not right according to his own principles. So she says, I wasn't going to come back if you had not found a relationship with God, your own personal relationship with God. But before then, she says, and he says, I'm not doing any of this because of anything. Doing this because I just want to kind of put out there, you know, what happened and this, all these things. You're not putting anything out there of your own accord. You're doing it because somebody else put negative media out there about you and you're responding to it. The woman mentioned that she had a hood mentality and she was like, if I see her on the street, I'm going to do this or that. Let me tell you, ladies, this is the last thing that I'm going to go into before I kind of brush through these notes really quickly. It is never the other woman's fault when your man is out here in these streets. It's a thing that he has to do and deal with on his own. Even when she mentions that his transformation can only happen from God, that's not true. Lots of people that are not religious whatsoever go through therapy and they experience transformative change and growth in life. People are constantly becoming and constantly evolving at every stage and phase of life. That is a fact. However, their religious grounding and spiritual grounding has absolutely nothing to do with that experience. It may be a proponent to it as they step into their acceptance of their higher power, higher being, higher parts of self, and their conscious system of their operating, you know, their moral principles and ethical principles and things that ground their personality. However, their acceptance of God per se has nothing to do with that. Your belief system is not the end all be all to transformative change, sweetheart. And if you're allowing him and your religious foundation to guide you back to this marriage, and if that's the reason that you are here, I suggest that you do some further deep exploration and figure out what really brought you back to wanting to be a part of this marriage, just so you can be honest with yourself. And so that's that piece, okay? Many people are saying that she was abused. I feel like there is a lot of stuff there. I feel like there are a lot of layers there. And yes, she's definitely suffered some significant emotional abuse. And her self-esteem obviously was torn apart because she speaks of him as somebody that is able to articulate, you know, things better on the screen. So somebody had to tell you that you have to sit away, you have to move away, you got to talk away, you got to be away in order for you to be on the social media platform. Somebody had to tell you that, and that somebody's in your house. The other piece is that Derrick mentioned he doesn't think anyone is ever finished. And I do feel like he definitely said something there. He's on to something. And Derrick, understand that people, like I said, are in a constant state of evolution until they're dead. And then we move into another type of energy. But the thing is, energy never dies. So your maturation in life is never done unless you decide to, but your growth is inevitable. People will continue to grow into different phases and stages of their life via their experiences in life. Inevitably, there is nothing that we can do to stop that. But you make the choice as to whether or not you mature from those moments. And I feel like you're blocking your maturation in this moment by not getting the proper help that you need to recognize the patterns of behavior and the level of manipulative behavior that you possess that has put you in this place and that now puts you in front of the rest of the people in the world, giving a false sense of security about your situation relationally. Only 2%, he says, is known by people about the skeletons in his closet. Just putting it out there. And he says that he's only doing this video to give God the glory. God is not the person who put your penis inside of another woman. God is not the person that put your mouth on another woman's vagina without having protection adequately. God is not the person who made you cheat on this woman the several times that you did. God is not the person who put your penis without protection in another woman that got her pregnant. God didn't do that. Derrick did that, honey. Personal accountability. Personal responsibility. I think that's what you got to understand, that's what you need to do. That's what you need to take. And furthermore, I've already mentioned the very huge responsibility that you're negating by ignoring and blocking these women. And it's possible that she did it because she did say that she now has access to his social media and stuff. You know, I feel like she is looking over the fact that he's manipulated and maneuvered himself in a position to be able to show her on the surface that he's that guy that she needs, and he meets those areas that she said she desired in a man, just so he can continue to make his money. Your video is not to give God any glory. God doesn't need a video. I'm sorry. Get off of it. I feel like you guys have got to stop looking for the immediate gratification in surface change. Once we become people who understand that there is a real process there to healing, and that we don't have to put up facades of healing, take your time and do the healing that you need. You're not the first person to have cheated, Derrick, and honey, you're not the first person to be cheated on. And obviously he did it a couple of times, but he did it because that's how you taught him to treat you. But at the end of the day, people will commit acts that are betrayals to us. And it's up to us how we choose to heal and reveal the layers of our strength and resiliency through those experiences. And so like all, I wish you guys the best. I hope that I have reviewed this thoroughly for you guys. And I've given a really clear imprint of this side of things. If you guys want to see my review and the other side of things from the interview with the mistress, it is definitely on my podcast, Life Discussions with Dr. Jefferson. And remember, you guys can find me anywhere by hashtagging doclqj speaks. It's been real. Derrick, I wish you the best. I wish your wife the best on her journey to actual healing and self-actualization. I really hope that you guys become the grace that you seem to be portraying on the surface to the rest of the world. That's all I got, you guys. Later days.